All right, hello. It's Monday Night Live with the O&G Strike Zone, Brian Fulford, Kelvin Rozier. It's the Alabama A&M reaction show after Florida A&M gets the victory over Alabama A&M, 42-28. Kelvin, welcome back. Excuse me. You had a good trip to Huntsville, I hear.
I had a great trip, man. The weather was nice. I got a chance to go by the Southern Region alumni tailgate. Saw a lot of familiar faces. The Atlanta crew, some Tallahassee crew, some Florida-based crew, and they had I guess some band. I guess it was band and like high school student day or something. They had a bunch of students there, and so they had a decent crowd there. It's a really nice facility, a nice tailgate area. So that the vibe and everything was great. The 100 came right at the end of the first quarter, and I thought they did a really good show though, and I'm not a band head, but by all accounts they blew them out of the water in the fifth quarter too. So
Okay.
man, it was great, man. I loved it. Took a lot of pictures, shook a lot of hands, man.
Yeah, good to know. Yeah, you said unfortunately I screwed the pooch. I didn't have the photos that you did a
We got
great
Wednesday.
job. Yeah, thank you. I will make a point of downloading them and share them on Wednesday's show. Today's a little bit of a bonus show because we didn't get a chance to do a post-game show after the game. So we appreciate everybody coming in and those of you who are joining us tonight. Obviously, it's not our normal scheduled time. We normally on Wednesday evenings, but Marcus did a great job. Marcus and Keith Hadley of Things Up podcast did a great job with the watch party. Appreciate those who came in and joined us with that experience. We'll talk about while you had a crystal clear view of the game. We'll we'll get into talking about what the experience was like for those of us who didn't have that good 40/40 vision from where you were. We'll talk about that here coming up. But so Marcus obviously is taking care of some business, and so he couldn't be with us tonight. And so it just you and me kind of catching up a little bit on some things related to this team and this game. Rattlers improved to 8-1 on the year, 7-0 in conference play. 2 games. Well, let's just say one game away, one conference game away from a perfect season. Third year in a row that the Rattlers have won 7 games in the SWAC. Obviously, I don't know. I don't want to call it unprecedented, but it is very rare. Might be unprecedented for a team to come into a conference and do what FAMU has done. Uh, and this is coming out of COVID. So let that sink in. We switched conferences, and of course, when we left the MEAC, we were was that the 9-win season? Yeah, it was the 9-win
Yes.
season. 9-win season, leaving the MEAC, getting ready to go into a COVID year, or what turned out to be the COVID year. And then we jump conferences and start brand new, with new, just everything new. And so everything that has transpired over the past couple years and leading up to what we have now, which is now Florida A&M will be hosting the SWAC Championship Game. We've been very fortunate with the number of seniors, the great recruiting that has been done, the just outstanding when you think about what has been built to this point. Have you taken a second, Kelvin, to kind of? I know it's early because we still got so much good football left to play over the next month that we're hoping that we're playing. But if you stop for a second and just kind of just take it all in, what's your thoughts on what we have seen and what we have accomplished, or what Coach Willie Simmons, his staff, this program has accomplished over the past 24, 36 months?
I mean, it's impressive to come to a new conference. We haven't lost a home game to anybody, so that includes conference games. We haven't lost a true road game to anybody in the conference. You know, both our losses to the same team, and it was during the first
Neutral site.
game of the season
Yeah.
at a neutral site classic. So, I mean, that is sustained excellence, right? We're not a flash in the pan, and along with that success, there's been an investment into the program because of that success, right? We've got the uniforms, we've got the support staff in terms of compliance. There's been facility investments, so all of it goes hand in hand. Do more and more, but ultimately, coach has been a catalyst. We got guys in the pros, we got coaches in the pros.
Yeah.
I mean, just by any measure, man, it's a success, and it's to be applauded.
Yes, indeed. Yes, it is. Quick check in to those of you who have already checked in. Appreciate Bull. Bull, appreciate you jumping in early. We're going to talk about that ESPN broadcast, definitely. On the flip phone. Yeah. There's some interesting decisions made in that situation. Coach Ferrasi checking in. Appreciate you coming in. Tony coming in. We appreciate you coming in. Show on a Monday night. Miss Joanne checking in all the way from California.
What's up, Miss Joanne?
Good to see you, Miss Joanne. Thanks for checking in with us.
Senior Day coming.
Exactly. I know you'll be in Tallahassee probably this upcoming weekend, Senior Day. Coach checking in. Good recruiting, definitely making the difference. No, Coach RMG1. Thanks for checking in. Appreciate you coming in. Chuck Hunt checking in from Monroe, Louisiana after a long day at work. Well, hey, Chuck, we appreciate you coming in, man. Thank you. Let's see. I know Tony's got a question. I'm going to start that question and come back to it here. Meredith. Hello, Meredith. Good to see you.
Hey, Meredith.
Mr. Campbell checking in. Steve
Campbell.
Yes,
what's
indeed.
up, Mr. Campbell?
Good to see you. Melissa Wilson checking in. Good evening to you. Demetra checking in.
Hey, Demetra.
Appreciate you. Tamara T found her way in.
T.
Good to see you.
No
Checking in as well.
Represent.
So we appreciate everybody coming in early. All right, let's get into talking a little bit about this game. Also, one more, Janice Watley coming in from ATL.
What's up, Janice?
Appreciate you coming in. You guys make sure to come in, hit that thumbs up button, hit the like button wherever you're watching us. Go ahead and share the show with your people. This is just an hour show today, all about this football game and reaction. We may not get into too many other FAMU athletics news. There's a few nuggets that we may kind of sneak in, but we're here for a good time, not a long time. So, come in and let's kind of go through this game for a little bit here in this first opening segment. 42-28 final score. The first thing, Kelvin, that I saw the line. I always like to look at these kind of things. The point spread. Now, when I looked at the computer metrics, that data site that I like to go to, it had FAMU favored to win by 10 points. So I was like, I like 10. And then I saw the line come out and it said 13 and a half. I'm not gonna lie, I got nervous. I was like, ooh, 13 and a half. This is Alabama A&M. I'm thinking about what we previously done and the close games. I don't think the last 2 years, I don't think we've beaten them by more than 10 points. If we did, it was barely over 10 points last year. And so I'm looking at 13 and a half. I'm thinking, oh, it's kind of tight. And but what do I know? We jump out on them early, 17-0, literally in the first half of the game. Marcus Riley, 49-yard touchdown pass from Jeremy Musa. And then hold on, let me go to the drive chart because I want to make sure I get it right because I know. Let's see. Yeah, we scored first. Alabama A&M went out on downs. Nope, hold on. Nope. Let me see. Yeah, Alabama A&M forced out on downs. Then we come back, get the ball with come back and get a field goal out of this. And where was the
Special
block punt at?
teams.
Yeah, 32
Yes.
points. Then it was the next possession in which we get the block punt, and Lovey Jenkins returns it 24 yards, and we're up 17-0 with 7:48 to play. Also of significant note in that opening half of the quarter is we knocked out the starting quarterback. We knocked out Kendall Langford, who had Xavier Langford, excuse me, who was the starting quarterback, knocked him out very early in the contest, and then they make the switch to Quincy Casey, an entirely different quarterback. And I think once Casey got his feet settled underneath him, Kelvin, the game changed a little bit. But talk about first, you're in the building. Talk about those first opening 6 minutes or so, 7 minutes where we jump out 17-0.
Well, it was dominating. I mean, our first drive, ended with that 49-yard bomb to Marcus Riley where he got behind the secondary. And then we pretty much stalled them out, and they're punting from this in their own territory, and we get to the punt. Now that one we didn't return, but because of that, the defensive play, we was in great field position, and with 9 minutes and 53 seconds left, we didn't punch it in, but we got the field goal. We were up 10-0. I think it was a 3 and out or close to a 3 out right following that. And they tried to punt, and we got it right again. And this time, we returned it for a touchdown. So, with 7 minutes and 48 seconds left in the first quarter, it's 17-0. I hadn't even made it to the press box at that point. I'm still in this. I'm leaving the field, still in the stands, talking and taking pictures. So by the time I get up to the press box, I'm just gonna say I don't want to put nobody out there, so I'm just say, folks, when I came to the press box, people were proclaiming the game is over.
Oh man!
And I was like, well, it's a fast start, but this is football. Things happen, and sure enough, things started to happen. But it was an excellent start. Couldn't ask for a faster start, and frankly, I was surprised how quickly the game changed. Because by the end of the first, we're up 17-0, and by the end of the first quarter, it's 17-14.
Yeah. On that after that score by Lovey Jenkins, Alabama A&M, and I said, Casey kind of got his feet underneath him. 11 plays, 75-yard drive by A&M in 2 minutes and 46 seconds. That's another thing that kind of caught me by surprise. It was a quick, long possession, but quick. 9-yard pass, Casey to LeVar Gums, 17-7.
I think they might have had a couple of penalties that helped them too.
Well, and it's funny you mention that because looking at the team box score, look, one of the things that we definitely you look at and say, man, we've got to find a way to clean that up is the number of penalties.
Yeah.
We committed overall in the ball game 12 penalties, 106 yards. But what I also went and looked at, and sometimes you guys got to go do this when you look at the box score, right? Or look at the team stats. 12 penalties, right? Now, if you ever go take a look at first downs, there's a category called first downs by rushing, first downs by passing, first down by penalty. Alabama A&M got 7 first downs off of penalties. So what that means is of those 12 penalties, over half of them, 7,
Kept
gave
drives
them
alive.
first downs,
Yeah.
kept drives alive or extended drives. So, I mean, and on the flip side, what? They only committed 6 penalties and only gave us 2. So, that's one of those little stats that that's important. We talk about the penalties, but why those penalties matter? The first down penalties. We gave them 7 first
Yeah.
downs out of that. In total, they had 23 to our 17, but again, uh, that's 7. That's practically half of them were right there on those on those penalties that we committed. So, um, coming back out of that drive by A&M, then we have an interception in 2 plays. 2 plays, we throw an interception, um, and Alabama A&M is starting near midfield in plus territory on the FAMU 43 side of the ball, and they quickly score. They didn't waste any time. 1 play, 43 yards. Casey hits Jacoby Hewitt, and now it's 17-14. And so all of a sudden, it's flipping. It's like, okay, and this is still the
And and,
first
and
quarter.
and let me just say that particular play was very disappointing because essentially there was really only one receiver in the area. You had a cornerback and a safety over there. Now they did run another receiver down the seam, but essentially it was just like a go route, and the safety as well as the DB on that side allowed the guy to just run right past him. It wasn't nothing tricky, and so it was unfortunate that you gave it that big play right off the bat, knowing they on the plus side of the field. Most teams, that's what they do, and honestly, that's all that Alabama have tried to do. They just went for the big plays.
Yeah,
They weren't necessarily successful driving the ball per se without the aid of penalties. Now,
mhm,
penalties, as you pointed out, helped them drive the ball some, but most of their success was big plays.
yeah. So at this point, we're still in the first quarter. Um, you know, After A&M just scored, and Fam goes 3 and out, punting only go 4 yards, three and out. We hold them to 3 plays, no yards, punt. We get the ball back at our own 37, only go 8 yards, 5 plays. We punt again. And so here we are now going into the second quarter, and that's how the first quarter ended. Second quarter, their opening drive by Alabama A&M. Here's another long possession. Starting from their own 20, they go
Penalties.
12 plays, 80 yards. How many penalties would you say were in that drive?
I believe that was the drive where they were getting ready to punt, and they
Yes.
shifted,
Yeah.
and they did it back to back. They needed 10 yards, and we
Yeah.
jumped offside twice on fourth down to give them
Uh-huh.
the first down. Now, I've got to talk to some other guys who know the rule book a little bit more than I do. But I thought that even if you didn't set, that the whole line couldn't move at the same time and shift, and that's exactly what Alabama A&M did twice, and we jumped offside. So I thought it was a legal shift personally, but they didn't call it. So I remember those 2 plays that stood out, that because they were getting ready to punt. So I know there was at least 3 penalties on that drive that helped keep that drive going.
Yeah, they capped off that 80 play drive with an 8-yard touchdown run, and then they take the lead. The first time that they caught us with our pants down, 21 straight unanswered points, and Alabama A&M 21-17. What's the vibe in the stadium at that point in the ball game?
Well, I mean, fam, everybody understood. Everybody know that we're a second half team. We're a third quarter team, particularly, and Alabama A&M doesn't play spectacular defense. So, honestly, it was no panic, even from their own fans and supporters. They was just like, well, at least we put up a fight. It was no bragging. We finna get you.
Yeah. The one thing that I like about this team is just like in the Southern game, when you punch us, and every now and then, even the best of boxers get punched and might even get knocked down, but it's how you respond immediately after. And I think just like in the Southern game, we responded really well to that punch down 21. We come right back for starting on our own 33, go 4 plays, 67 yards with a touchdown. Kelvin Dean with, I believe it was a 24. No, I'm sorry, it was a 4-yard touchdown run, but it was the end of a 4-play, 67-yard drive. The fact that we got down there in just 4 plays and we take the lead 24-21. That's how we eventually would go into halftime. And coming out of the half, we would punch a field goal, a Cameron Gillis field goal in the third quarter with 11:01 to play after an 8-play, 52-yard drive. Then later on, towards the end of the third quarter, a 13-play drive, just 42 yards, but it took up 7 minutes and 13 seconds. And I thought that was really important that that drive for only having to go 42 yards, that it took up 7 minutes of time. That was impressive. Juiced the clock. We grabbed the lead with a Jacquez Yant touchdown, 35-21. And at that point, you got to feel like, okay, whew, you can kind of you can feel like, okay, we got this under control now. Kareem Burke scored a touchdown at the top of the fourth quarter on a 2-play, 38-yard drive, and we're up 42-21. Alabama A&M did get another score on the ensuing possession uh, to cut it 42-28. And at that point, again, if you had FAMU minus 13 and a half, you were nervous. I stayed away from it because I couldn't do it. I didn't want to have. I was too nervous. So anyway, final score 42-28.
Hey, they were driving the ball again too. I think somewhere with about 6 minutes left in the game, they actually got down to the inside the 10.
11. Yeah, they got to the 11
Yeah,
yard line in the fourth
yeah,
quarter, and that was on a 10-play, 55-yard
yeah.
drive, and we forced them out, and that was pretty much their last real strong drive. I mean, they had another drive after we punted again, but it really didn't go anywhere. They went 4 and out. But that
Right,
drive, like you said, that drive could have meant something, but we forced them out on downs with 5:48 to play left in the ball game. And
right.
that pretty much you could say was the ball game, nail in the coffin at that point in time. Um, yeah. So
So some overall quick thoughts, Brian.
yes,
This is game 9.
yes,
We are who we are.
yes. I've
Some
been saying
teams
that for a
dominate,
while.
and some teams, you have to get their attention. You don't heard Coach Simmons talk about this. This particular team, when they get up big, for whatever reason, they lose focus. Now, this is not a team you want to talk trash to, though, or punch in the
No,
mouth,
no.
because they wake up very quickly and respond. They do respond. I
Yes, they do.
wish they were more dominant and consistent throughout a game, but this is who the makeup of this team, and they keep winning, and they win by double digits. So
Mhm.
you just have to understand that's the fabric of this team, and we just keep rooting and enjoying these W's.
Yeah, it's the of the 8 wins, it's the 7th game that we have won in double digits or more, as you pointed out. Of course, the Southern game was the only win where we didn't win by 10 or more. It's the second consecutive game that we busted over 40 points, which, I mean, jokingly or sadly, however you want to look at it, we talked about a 31-point cap. Well, then we busted through that ceiling now on consecutive Saturdays against SWAC opponents, right? Prairie View A&M at home last week, Alabama A&M, and then we look at what's upcoming this Saturday, and you're thinking, hell, maybe we might hit the 50 mark. We just might. But anyway, I just like the fact that we're at that point of scoring over 40. Alabama A&M is one of the top SWAC offenses, so
they were number one in scoring.
So don't look at 28 points and kind of say, "Oh man, we shouldn't have gave up 28 points."
They averaged 31.8.
Yeah, they almost hit their average, and so it's a good thing that we have the kind of offense that we do, and we have the defense that just like against Southern. When we played against Southern was also rated as a high rated offense coming in to that game that we played them. So we against teams that we should dominate, we do dominate, and I agree with everything you just said to that point. And you know what I'm thinking about at this point, Kelvin, and you guys in the chat, you guys think about this too as we watch other teams, right? And that's what we're going to be now over the last 2-3 weeks of the season. We're going to be watching other people. Like I go back and I watched that Alcorn game, and we're watching other teams. I'm starting to wonder and listen to how their fans view their team, because I think sometimes we have such a strong desire for this team to be more efficient.
Dominant.
Yeah. More, and I said it on the offensive side of the ball, because I don't think we doubt anything on the defense. I think on the offensive side, we all want more. We want more rushing. We want a higher completion percentage.
We want to catch the passes that hit us in the hand.
Yes, we want less drop passes.
We still have drops.
Look, I don't know who in the world, I know there's certain sites that record these kind of things on the FBS level, but whoever is going to be ingenious enough to start recording drop passes and just the Pro Football Focus type extra stuff is going to make a mint in the FCS level, because I haven't found the stats, and we have to go back and watch some games. But another week where I've heard Coach Simmons talk about drop passes. And so, we look at you go and look at the quarterback statistics, for the game, and you look at the box score, and, I look at, let me see, Musa was 14 of 27, 245 yards passing, a touchdown, to INT. He was sacked 3 times. So that's 13 incomplete passes. How many of those are drops, due to drops? I mean, maybe half of those?
No, I don't think it was that many. He did miss some, but it would probably at least 3 we got our hands on that we should have brought in, though.
And I think also you think about the ones that would have been continuations of drives or even maybe scores. Those are the ones. So that's what I'm talking about. Like if you ever had an opportunity to go back and watch a game and count the drive, it's hard with a broadcast. Even a broadcast where the picture is clear, it's hard to sometimes see that because the camera angles don't stay on a play for so long. After they see something, they jump to another angle quickly. That's just the nature of broadcast television. Let me mention some of the statistics here. Terrell Jennings led the running backs. He had 8 attempts, net 40 yards. Kelvin Dean had 7 attempts, net 28 yards and a touchdown. Kareem Burke, 1 carry, 26-yard touchdown. Jaquez Yant, 9 carries, net 24 yards and a touchdown. And then you kind of had Jamari Shareed with a negative run. Musa -10. That's all on the sacks probably. things of that nature. Leading the receivers, Jeremiah Pruitt, leading the receivers, 2 receptions, 82 yards. Marcus Riley, 3 catches, 71 yards and a score. David Manigo, 3 catches, 55 yards. Jamari Gassett, 2 for 38. Jamari Shareed, only 3 for 5. That's kind of low. Kelvin Dean, 1 reception, but it went negative 6 yards. And so that was the receiving core. On the defensive side of the ball, and we were trying to see if we could get Lovey Jenkins on the show, but I know Lovey was on the Willie Simmons live show, apparently. He had a great day. 9 total tackles, 2 tackles for loss, 1 sack, and a forced fumble to lead the team in total tackles. He had 5 of those solo. Isaiah Major had 8 tackles, half a tackle for loss, a breakup, and 2 quarterback hurries. Kendall Bowler, 8 tackles, 4 pass breakups. That you know what? Speaking of Kendall Bowler, that's the second or third game where I think he's had multiple pass breakups. I don't know if you've noticed that. I don't. Just to kind of.
Yeah, I have, and he is a more active, but also I have to say I think he's the one that get tested the most. They throw his way more than the other side.
Yeah, probably so. I'm trying to just glance down. Javen Morgan, 5 total tackles, 1 tackle for loss, 1 sack, and an interception, and a quarterback hurry. So good day for Javen. I think Coach said in total we had, let's see, I'm looking at the total tackles for loss: 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 8, 10, 11 tackles for loss in that ball game. So 11 tackles for loss, 3, 4, 5.5 sacks. Nope, 6 sacks in the ball game. 6 sacks in the ball game. Did I have that right? Yeah, 6 sacks. Yeah, I did that right. Quincy Casey was sacked 5 times. So really good jobs. Oh, special teams. Last thing about special teams. How about Trey Wilhoit? Give Trey Wilhoit some props, people. 5 punts, averaging 47.4. The longest was a 62-yarder. He put 1 inside the 20, had 2 touchbacks, and 2 of his punts went over 50 yards. So props to Trey Wilhoit. Had a great day. I don't know. Did you see? Normally the SWAC puts out their players of the week. Have you seen that yet? Did anybody from
I,
FAM get any recognition?
no, nobody for the Rattlers got any.
They did come out though. Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so nobody. Yeah. Hollow's asking how many hurt. Any injuries that you saw in this ball game?
I'm trying to think. I won't say somebody went out, but I can't recall who it was
Okay.
right now. But overall,
Keith. I don't think
yeah,
was there
he
anything
did.
going on with
Yeah, he did go
Carnell?
out.
Not
No,
who's 58?
uh, the defensive end done.
Okay, done. Okay, yeah, done. He did go out. Okay.
Yeah, and
Yeah,
I haven't heard update on that yet. As to I didn't catch Coach Simmons. I don't know if he spoke to about it, but I haven't heard anything.
Kenya notes that Graves went out as well. So yeah, appreciate you guys in the chat room for jumping in on that. So and one of the things that Coach didn't have his normal I don't know. I can't tell whether I got a cancellation notice. I know Coach had his SWAC press conference with the SWAC football coaches, but he normally does one at 10 in the morning. I got a notice that it was canceled, but then I saw Gerald retweeting some things, but I don't know whether Gerald was retweeting from the football from the SWAC media thing. So I don't know what happened. I have to go back and look at Rattlers Plus to see whether Coach did actually have I'm starring a couple notes here from you guys in the chat because we're going to go through those in a second. All right, let me talk broadcast here. Uh, because you, Kelvin, obviously, like I said, you didn't have to suffer through what those of us who were not at the game had to suffer through, which was, let's just say, very spotty internet service. I had heard that Alabama A&M has had issues with their internet before, or maybe it's just the connectivity at that stadium, right? I've heard this from other people. Like it should be fit better, outfit better, or the everything should be better there. And the sad part is because we don't because most people and you as a fan, most fans, they're watching the game, right? Yes. Some great comments. I mean the people thought the game Kenya said we're watching electric football. I don't look. The first thing, Kenya, I don't understand what was up with that frame. I don't understand why they had now. The only thing I can think of why they had that X and O frame around the broadcast is because they were pushing out a signal that wasn't 1080, and to compensate, they said, "Oh, well, we'll stick a frame around it, so that way we can keep it at 720 at a certain size. Because if we enlarge the frame to take up the full screen, it's going to degrade the picture even worse than what it was." That's the only thing I can think of. Because when we flipped over and we're watching some of the Alcorn game, of course, the Alcorn game was full screen. You had no frame, so I don't understand the whole X and O frame. The broadcasters were on remote; they weren't live on location. I don't know if you peeped that, Kelvin. Centuria Black and whoever else was doing the color, they were off site. They were doing a remote here, and so I did a little digging, and I found out uh, there was very little communication from the production company with Alabama A&M Communications. And usually the production company will make the effort to get to the site the day before the game, test out a lot of things, do a lot of checks and things of that nature. That never happened. That particular production crew actually had to do a high school football game on Friday night. Not uncommon, but the fact that, they weren't there the day before to do their normal test. I'm told that when they first set up, there were very little issues. That could have been in the morning when there was nobody on campus. And then, of course, as what happens when people start coming in and cell signals and other stuff start getting interfered with, they start having
Remember
issues.
I told you. Remember I told you they had a bunch of high school students and high school bands there. So all those kids are on their phones. So
Huh?
yeah, you better have some bandwidth and some extra cell towers.
Yeah. So and but here's what if the site doesn't have proper hardline wired connections. Like we even have places at FAMU where there's not good connectivity. For example, at some of our ballparks, baseball, softball field, and that's why you don't see those games streamed because you'd have to bring in an extra tower. You'd have to bring in essentially, which is a huge hotspot to be able to push a signal out, which is why you see a production truck in a lot of cases. I don't know if that was necessarily done for this game. And so the disappointing part is you want better because, yes, ESPN really is just the vehicle in which this game was being broadcast on. ESPN really didn't have anything to do with this,
With the
other than
production.
saying that,
Yeah.
hey, we're not really doing the production. We'll supply the on air talent, but we're not handling the production. HBCU Go, for example, they probably have. I know that they pretty much have two trucks because that's why they're only in two locations. HBCU Go will only have 2 games on in a day. Why? Because they got 2 trucks. That's it.
There's
They don't
their
have
self their turnkey operations.
yes,
Right.
yes. Right. And so if you've ever noticed on the east side, if you ever at Bragg, come by and see the big production truck that'll be out there. Yeah, there should be no excuses. I see that. No excuses. This is college football, but understand something. Um, the, it
Let
starts at I think it starts at the school level. The
absolutely.
school, the school and the conference. And I don't know how much of this is really the conference. I don't want to put this on the conference. I really think it starts with the school and their infrastructure. But if they need help, they should be able to, I don't know, contact the conference for some extra cash. I don't know.
I would tell you, ever since the COVID started and things went remote, that a lot of things that happen in terms of, if it's not on ESPNU or the main platforms or HBCU Go, where they bring in a production team as well as the trucks and the equipment, then it totally depends on the environment that the whole school has and the
Yep.
staff. And I would tell you, people, we are understaffed at HBCUs, as well as a lot of us still don't have all the latest and greatest equipment in terms to put on a quality broadcast. That's why you see inconsistency from school to school, depending where the game is played out, if it's on Plus, because there are some very bad video on Plus. But a lot of that has to do with the schools a lot of times, and the staffs and equipment that they have.
And that's a great point. Those of you who have ESPN Plus, bump around on ESPN Plus. I know you see a lot of these other schools that are on. Uh, if you just spend 15, 20 minutes and just bump around on some of those other broadcasts, you'll understand what we're talking about, because they aren't all equal. They are not all the same. And you will see some stuff that will shake your head. You'll be like, wow, really? And everybody's trying. There's production companies all over the place. But again, we aren't the ACC network, the SEC network. And I hate to compare, but a lot of us look at things from that perspective. And I get it. We should want that. We should. We should want that. I'm
Costs.
yeah, it
We
costs.
absolutely we deserve it. The fans
Yeah,
deserve it. The student athletes deserve it. I mean, we deserve it, but doing live productions is a costly endeavor. To do it right, to do it quality.
right. And um great question here. If ESPN has rights to these games, why is it not negotiated to bring these schools up to par?
They trying to get
Again,
rid of these streaming servers, ain't they?
no, actually, quite the opposite. They're really wanting to push
I'm talking
more.
about ESPN.
Yeah, yeah. Well, look, I a lot of these negotiations and a lot of these things were done
Yeah,
probably a few years before streaming became really, really popular post COVID. So I think what you're going to start seeing,
right. And the
you're going
technology became better.
yeah, the technology is going to get better, but there's going to have, yeah, you do have to be able to supply your whole own headline feature. This weekend, Florida A&M is hosting or going to be broadcasting their game on Rattlers Plus. I can't tell you what that's going to look like, you know,
Well,
from various
what I
levels.
can tell
I
you,
know,
yeah, yeah, yeah. I was just gonna say
no,
what I
go ahead.
can tell you is that Vaughn, when he was there, FAMU was one of the first schools to do streaming with
Mhm.
the ESPN platform in house,
Yeah.
and we were one of the flagships. They always wanted us to do. They wanted to pick up ours because we did it at a level that was better than most of the HBCUs. Now we did have students running that, but we did have an investment from the university in terms of the foundation and journalism in terms of quality equipment also. And I will
But
say
we
that the MEAC also provided some things. We had to pay for it, but they provided some things also to try to make the quality of those streaming platforms better. So
and we had Vaughn Wilson. We we had somebody,
yes,
and I say you don't understand the importance of having somebody who knows what the f they are doing, and
yeah,
understands broadcast, but understands the industry and what is going on. I mean, that's a huge advantage. So, having him being able to put that infrastructure in place and being able to tell, and for FAMU to actually listen to him, because I will tell you from experience, we've had people who told FAMU you need X, Y, and Z, and FAMU didn't listen. So eventually, when Vaughn said it, whether it be because they'd heard it two or three other times or because it was Vaughn Wilson or whatever the reason, that time they actually listened and things started to improve. So now you see, I always smile when I'm in the press box and I look over to the right and I see, and I see Jeff with that in that
Jeff.
production room, and he's shouting directions to his team left and right. Man, I tell you, super producer. And I just smile because I know that room would have never existed 5, 10 years ago when it could have. That room would have never existed. And so when you guys see those videos up on the screen, uh, you know, just know it's it went a lot of work and a lot of years went into to pushing that out. Edwin Moore, great comment here, that the commissioner, Charles McClellan, has charged all the schools to reach a minimum level for broadcasting. Um, and yeah, but I will say this though, Edwin, one thing that I don't think happens, and we're just getting to a place where we can maybe feel comfortable traveling and all being in the same location, is there's got to be workshops in the off season for this.
yeah,
At the
yeah,
same time that SIDs come together and chat, your communications people and maybe even a broadcast liaison, they got to come together. That doesn't happen enough, I don't think, where this entity and that entity comes together and say, "Hey, let's get on the same page in one location." I know we can do everything by Zoom these days, but still sometimes it's good to be in the same room and trade ideas with a person, go to
yeah,
lunch and be able to even if it's a 48-hour period, that's important. And so if, like you guys point out, if the commissioner has charged all these schools with upgrading, there's got to be an effort whether it's hosting it at the SWAC offices or somewhere else. That's got to happen as
keep
well.
keep keep in mind one last point on this, and then we can move
Yeah,
on.
yeah,
Uh, I don't know if the position was vacant or someone left or what have, but remember that they just got a person in place over the communications teams and athletics. Good former Rattler, and I know what he doing
yes.
anyway. A former employee, Brian.
Yeah.
So
Have you noticed?
he's only been there like 3 or 4 weeks, but yeah, I'm sure I know he'll get it, tighten up.
Oh, for sure. I mean, he did amazing work at
Brian Howard,
FAMU. Brian Howard,
yeah,
yep, did great work at FAMU. I believe that was under well, you were with him
yeah,
previously. And then he went over to did he
Norfolk,
go to Norfolk? Yeah, he went to Norfolk State, and
yeah,
that's where he'd been. And then, but you notice Dr. Paul Bryant bringing together that old Grambling team that he had. You notice he's bringing. There's a couple other people that have been. It's a nice, keep an eye on Alabama A&M. They're coming up, and he's putting together a good staff of people over there. Let's go to some questions, Kelvin. Here we go. Tony's got a question. Kelvin, now that the SWAC East is sealed, who do you think that one loss was going to be to in the beginning of the season? You said there was going to be one loss in the SWAC.
He talking
I
about. I'm
think,
assuming you talking about FAMU.
yeah, I think so because
Yeah,
you thought,
yeah. In terms of us, obviously, we going undefeated, which is a good. Well, we still got
but
that
you had a
little
7-1.
game there, but
You had a 7-1, I believe, right? Didn't you
because
have to beat
because we
Tennessee?
always. But I said it wouldn't be Jackson State.
Okay.
The game, and Brian, you know this, and everybody who watch the show. The game I always pointed to was this game we just won. I
Yes.
thought this was. I knew we'll show up against Southern. I never worry about playing against teams that are traditional rivals and who have our respect, and we know we got to come to play. Our team is show up for those games. But this Alabama A&M game was one that I thought. You remember my bold prediction was that we were gonna score 50. And the reason why I
Yes.
made that bold prediction because I was like, well, they're gonna put up some points, so we're gonna have to put up some points. So I
Hmm.
understood that, and we had 42 points with about 13 minutes left in the game, so we were close, and they did put up some points. But the game that I thought that we had a chance of losing was the Alabama A&M game. We got by it, so uh, great. I'm happy as a lamb that I was wrong.
Yeah, I am too. Now we just gotta finish it off, and beat the crap out of the Cats. Somebody asked me earlier about that, and I told them we got a decade of pain from Bethune Cookman. We haven't even begun. They haven't even begun to feel the pain that Coach Simmons and this team should continue to get ass because a decade is a long time. That's a decade plus the COVID year. Yeah, eh, Bethune's got some pain coming to them, and I don't want us to let up at all when we get to that game in the Classic. Tamara T with a question: do you think Coach kept the game pretty vanilla intentionally, doing nothing new to keep the next teams on the schedule from scouting us?
No, we got Lincoln. I think it's got all they want to. We're gonna name the score on that one. And Bethune is a rivalry game, so I'm not gonna be too disrespectful. But at the end of the day, they've got one Division 1 win, so I'm not anticipating too competitive of a game with that one either. So no, he wasn't playing coy. I think that Alabama A&M has the capability of putting up points. They were number one in the SWAC in terms of points per game, 31.8 going into it. So they can put up some points, and of course our team just inconsistency. We play in spurts, and that's what happened.
All right, let me jump over to appreciate that, Tamara. Let me jump over to EA, who's happy with the win. However, I'm seeing something with the defense that has concerned me since the USF game. That will be a major issue with North Carolina Central. And I would tell you this, EA, let's not look that far ahead. Let's deal with the SWAC because if things keep
I don't
going
see
the way
that.
they're going,
I don't see that, Brian. I hear people saying that. I mean, I watch Central. I mean, yeah, they jumped out on Norfolk, who is Norfolk, and
yeah.
but they and gave up, end up giving up. They still end up giving up. It was 38-24 final. I watched them against some other MEAC schools. They really should have lost against a mediocre at best. Um, um, uh, what's the team in Carolina that they beat? They had to come back and win in overtime.
Oh,
Central has I
Campbell.
believe in Campbell. Yes, I believe in Central quarterback. I believe in their coach. I believe in their team, but I do not believe Central is better than FAMU.
Not as a whole,
And ju-
no, no.
and just as just like now, I do believe it could be a shootout to a certain point. You're not going to make a living making big plays on our defense the entire time, but he's going to make his share of plays. I mean, they're a great team. They're defending champions, but to say we're going to be in trouble, we're going to be the best offense that Central has faced this season,
Without it, I think so.
outside of the Division 1 game.
I think we'll be the
So
best defense they'll face too. I think
I
because
agree. I agree.
looking at who they have left, I think will be the best
Yeah.
defense that they'll face too.
So I ain't giving no brownie points for last year's team and all that. I think they can be a formidable foe. They absolutely can beat us now. I'm not, saying, but just projecting right now where both teams are. Two good teams.
Yeah. The discipline issues, Kelvin, I don't know. I maybe I'll for Wednesday's show, I'll go back and look at how many games that we've had this year of 10 plus. Um, thankfully we're not turning the ball over to match these discipline penalty issues that we're having. Um, and yeah, I guess it's time. At some point, I always wonder: we're over analyzing ourselves? Because I've never really studied the other teams who are contenders. I'm not looking at Alcorn. I'm not looking at North Carolina Central to look at their. I know, for example, I can say Bethune-Cookman is one of the least penalized teams in the SWAC. So come that
That
game,
because they ain't doing nothing. They least penalized because they ain't making no plays.
well said, well said. Yeah.
Wow.
Wow. That's a good one. With the Sweats asking, when will we know about the SWAC Championship tickets and prices? On yesterday's sports wrap, I had on Charles Edmond, of course, Alcorn State Sports, and he's very familiar with the process. And I know it was a lengthy show last night, but if you get to maybe if you get to the second hour, third hour, get to hour 3. If you want to go back and watch the BCSN Sports Wrap with Charles, we talked about the SWAC process, and I'm working to try to get Dr. McClellan on our show. So maybe on Wednesday we'll get lucky and get Dr. McClellan. I know if you saw the tweet from VP Sykes, I know she said this week they're working with the SWAC to kind of figure out the game plan, but understand that this is a conference run event with
Right.
the conjunction of Florida A&M, right? So uh, there's a strong case that Bragg Stadium might be 60-40 FAMU to guest, whether it's Alcorn, Prairie View, or whomever else. It might even be 50-50. I think that's something that we have to find out. So both bands will be in attendance. The kind of questions that you have is when tickets will go on sale. Parking will also be something that'll be interesting. There's an opportunity for FAMU to earn money from parking as well. Charles indicated that, and this was based off, the 2 years that it was Alcorn Lorman hosting, made about $1 million from the SWAC championship game. That's the one positive, is that you'll make about $1 million from the gate parking and everything that goes into this game.
I want to see them books, man. Because I know there's some expenses, and if like for instance, when teams have homecoming, they not making that, they not netting that, or they ain't even grossing that. So to say, unless they getting TV money and some other stuff to supplement along with the tickets and parking, then I can see it. I just would like to know that. That's why I've been lobbying. I hope we can get the commissioner on here to kind of just clear up some of that type of stuff.
Yeah, it'll be good to kind of find that out. But I think some of the things that you'll have to think about here is because we've never seen Bragg look like I'm just going to imagine here the east side, right? Imagine looking over in the east side and seeing from section, what's that in the far left? What section is that? Is that P or Q? That's far to the left. I know O is where you guys, no, where do you guys normally sit? Section O in the middle?
Yeah, it's O now. It used to be P.
So to the left is probably P or Q. But imagine,
Yeah, where the band is, and
okay,
then
but
students.
imagine in this SWAC championship game, if this is split differently, imagine if the 100 is actually uh, to the to the right on the home side, right near the field house, right? And imagine the Prairie View band being in that far left corner. Imagine what this stadium would look like where three-quarters of the east side is purple and gold because the visitors would be over on that side behind their bench. I mean, the visuals of what we're going to see from the SWAC championship game are going to be unlike we've ever seen at Bragg. And I think you got to get ready for that, Rattler Nation, because that's what's going to come with hosting a SWAC championship game. It's not going to be like a normal uh,
What I'm
road
you
game
you're
for the
abs
business.
you you're absolutely right. But what I'm willing to bet is that they're not going to mess with the student side of that section. It's on the other side where the general admission and so forth, where they'll probably, which really is not a big deal, because it's mostly general admission anyway. But I would imagine from section O, where we typically sit, to the north end zone side, that would probably be the visitor size instead of the typical J section, and the what, J and I think the J on the west side. If I had to imagine, if they're looking at the optics and the whole production, then yeah, it makes sense to have, Alcorn fans or whoever makes the game behind their bench as well as their band. But that'll be interesting if they choose to do something with the game day atmosphere at FAMU. Remember, the commission's been down here at least twice this
Yeah,
season,
at least
and so
twice. Yeah.
I'm really interested to see how that is negotiated.
As well, you season ticket holders, will you get the first choice on tickets and parking? That's you
Don't
would
know.
you don't
I
know.
would assume so, but again, this is a SWAC event first.
And so again, with that said, think about the allotment. So you got to think with the allotment, we see the stadium seats 22, 21. Let's just say they give 10,000 to FAM and 10,000 to the visitors, or I'll go one better since FAM is hosting. Let's say they go 12 and 8. Okay, 12 FAMU gets 12,000 tickets, the visitors get 8,000, and then if you don't sell your 8,000, it goes into the general admission by a certain time, right? I'm purely speculating, right? I don't. That's why we're trying to find these questions out. Of the 12,000, will season ticket holders get first right of refusal? Season ticket holders, will you be in your seats that you normally are? Maybe not. Again, this is a conference event. This is not a home game for FAMU. So there's a lot of things that you have to swallow and be prepared for um, in this scenario. So it'll be interesting to kind of hear what that's going to look like. And, you know, yeah, see, 50-50 would be horrible. See, I'm telling you, y'all that Rattler Nation, y'all better be ready for this. This is gonna be a different experience than anything that we have had in Bragg Stadium.
Well, and let me just throw another scenario out there. And I know we get into this later to close the show. But who says Alcorn is going to be the team?
Oh,
You got two games this this weekend that going to kind of determine who's the real front runner or not.
yes, you do. Speaking
It
of
could,
that,
yeah. Go ahead.
speaking of that, from the weekend, of course, the big showdown was Alcorn and Southern, and Alcorn just boat raced Southern 24-7 in the first quarter, 44-21 was the final score. Puts
Turnovers.
them puts them in
That was
sole possession of first place.
turnovers.
Yeah, and this
That
weekend was interesting.
it was like 3 turnovers in a row.
Oh yeah,
So okay, give some credit to Alcorn, but if you go back and watch that game, um, it was as much as some credit goes to Alcorn, a lot went credit went to Southern for imploding and some unforced mistakes or errors that kind of put the game out of reach early. Because that was the difference in the game, really. Those 3 turnovers back to back. It went from
yeah,
7-3 Southern to like 31-3 in like a 10-minute time frame.
right. That is why I said what I said about I don't trust Southern, and I said it. And I stand on that. I don't trust them, and
Don't trust the
now
West.
don't trust the way. Alcorn State happens to be now. Alcorn State has won 5 in a row. They've won 6 of their last 7, and that one loss was at the end of the game on a field goal, a walk-off field goal by Prairie View. Okay.
But they barely
Uh,
won a lot of those games.
yeah, I know they had the close
I
win
think
against
I
Grambling.
do you know
They
what
won it.
have you looked at the rest of their schedule out of all the contending teams? I would say they have the toughest schedule remaining. They gotta
No, because
yeah, they do.
it can be over this
They,
weekend. It
they
can be
gotta
over
beat
this
Jackson
weekend.
State.
It
No,
can
it
be over
can't.
this weekend. Yes, it can. Yes, it can. Because look, Charles talked about this last night. If the unthinkable happens, which Southern somehow finds their kahunas and takes out Prairie View, and uh, Alcorn beats Texas Southern, that's it. Alcorn wins because they have the
Did you listen?
tiebreaker.
Hey, did you
I
listen
know
to
what you're
me?
gonna say.
You
I
you
know
don't
what
listen to me. I said
I,
number one, don't trust the West. Now, but I'm gonna drive it point home.
okay.
What was the scenario? Who the hell did Alcorn have to beat last year to
Oh
win the
yes,
West?
yeah. I forgot about that. Yes.
Don't trust the West. I'm just trying to help you.
Well, well. Look. You, yes. Okay. But still, I'm going to say it because it could happen. And
Yeah.
it very well probably won't. Now that we're talking about it so much, and so many people are going to be talking about it, it won't happen. But Southern will somehow find themselves, and they'll steal a win from Prairie View somehow. No, I'm sorry, Prairie View will actually win because that's what'll keep the game going into the final week. So again, just to clarify, if Prairie View beats Southern, that means the final week of the season will be all about Alcorn versus Jackson State and Prairie View versus Alabama State. That's not going to be an easy one. And essentially, the winner, if Alcorn basically needs help. They really need. That's why I said they don't want it to go to the last week of the season, so they're kind of rooting for Southern, even though they just beat the snot out of Southern. They're rooting for Southern this week, but you can't trust Southern. So just assume while we're watching the Florida Classic, it'll be just like last year, how we're watching the Florida Classic.
Chaos.
Yes, and we're sitting there thinking,
Everybody who needed to win outside of Southern was like fourth in the tiebreaker scenario,
yes,
and everybody lost.
yes, and somehow
Alcorn
find
lost,
themselves.
Prairie View lost. I mean, and they lost like Valley and Pine Bluff, and it was just crazy.
Yeah.
Texas
So
Southern lost.
yeah, don't pencil in. But well, actually, no. Use a pencil. Don't use pen on Alcorn. Use a pencil if you all think Alcorn is coming to Tallahassee on December 2nd, because that could very quickly change over these last 2 weeks. Prairie View takes on Southern and Alabama State. Mary, I'm still thinking Alcorn's going to come out of the West.
Me that's my prediction today, but I ain't confident in it now. I truly believe, and here's what I'm saying: if you watch how Alcorn has played, and even if you watch how the Southern game went, yeah, they won by a lot, but if you watch the game, you understood it was as much about Southern poor play as it was about Alcorn taking advantage of the mistakes. And Texas Southern is one of those teams. If you don't put them away, they got just enough, and they're gonna be at home where they can beat. They can keep the game close, and they can find a way to win. So, um, I'm gonna
Yeah,
go. I'm gonna go with Southern, but I think Prairie View got the best shot. I mean, I'm sorry, I'm going Alcorn right now. But I actually think because of scheduling, Prairie View might have the best shot because they on head to head with most of the teams they competing with.
I just look over at that Prairie View record, 4-5 overall, 4-2 in conference play. It's ugly. I mean, and then you see Alcorn
Yeah,
6
but
and 3
they
overall.
they only lost one. They only lost to one team on the West though.
I know, I know.
I
Yeah,
agree with
and
you.
and so
I wouldn't
and
want to see that rate. I wouldn't technically want to see that rematch in the championship game. But I'm just saying they sitting right there.
right, and then of course right here, great point, Hollow. Texas Southern beat Alcorn last year, so and Texas Southern, like I said, came within a 2-point conversion of tying it. They pushed Jackson State. They would not let Jackson State get comfortable, and so
Should have beat, and they
hey,
should have beat Southern
could have beat Southern. Yeah,
at Southern.
so
Yeah.
yeah, it'll be interesting. Somebody's gonna get upset. Somebody's gonna get knocked off. The yeah, and then of course, yeah, I don't think Grambling's 2 games out of it. I don't. It would take a miracle uh, to somehow see Grambling end up in this thing. I mean, you're looking at a doomsday scenario in which everybody in front of them would have to lose, and then somehow it came down to the Bayou Classic. I mean, that would be like ridiculous if it somehow came to the Bayou Classic. But I we'll know after this week. We'll have a
Yeah.
clearer picture after the
Yes.
Southern Prairie View
It
game.
it'll be down to 2 teams after this weekend, more than likely.
Yes, or it could be over. One of the two. One of the two.
Yeah.
Yeah. Um, the last little note I think is worth mentioning, Kelvin, if you would allow me here. And then, of course, just want to remind everybody Wednesday's show, 8 o'clock Eastern. We got a lot to talk about on Wednesday's show. We'll talk about volleyball, which got a pair of sweeps over the weekend. What does that mean for them? Basketball is tomorrow night. The season tip off for the women who are in Knoxville, Tennessee. The men are in Creighton or at Creighton in Nebraska. Uh, I'm gonna be watching the women's game, to be honest. I want to. I think Coach Gordon going home to where she cut her teeth and became the legend that she became. That's must see TV. I don't know. Maybe I got to get two. I got to get 2 screens going somehow. I got to find a way to get 2 screens going. So we all need to be watching our men and women tomorrow. Still waiting to find out. Somebody called the FAMU ticket office tomorrow. Find out if those tickets are on sale for uh the SWAC the SWAC Pac-12 doubleheader, because I was told last week that they should be on sale today. I don't know if they were. So I'm going to encourage all of you to call the FAMU ticket office. You can find the phone number on the athletics website, but give them a call. Find out if those tickets are available. And if not, find out when they will be. Ask the question. If enough people call and ask the question, and then, yeah, also, as Mr. Figure said, when will those tickets for the SWAC championship go on sale? I got a feeling you're going to have to wait. I'm going to guess another week or two. I, I'm going to guess another
Yeah.
week.
At the earliest, yeah. At the earliest, probably at the earliest Friday, I would think,
Next
but
Friday, I think.
more likely next week. Nah, yes.
Yeah, yeah. Um. So yeah, let's kind of, but trust me, we will. If we're searching, I may be able to find out some information from what has been done at other schools. Just but again, none of that'll be official. So check back on Wednesday's show. We're out there searching, trying to get some info. So all of that'll come up on Wednesday's show. We'll talk about. I mean, there's not much to really talk about with our next opponent, but we'll talk about it. We'll probably talk more hoops. We'll talk more hoops than anything, or maybe volleyball. It'll be evenly split
We
show.
and probably senior day stuff, right? We'll probably
Yeah,
announce the
exactly.
seniors.
Senior day. Yeah, we got to
Yeah.
make sure. And I'm trying to. I reached out to Coach Latroy to find out who all are the seniors. So hopefully tomorrow I'll know. So maybe I can put together some graphics and find out who exactly are the seniors that are going to be recognized on Saturday. I'd like to be able to put some graphics together. Last thing I want to leave you with, Kelvin, how'd you like the announcement that Homecoming 2024, that the date has already been announced? What are your thoughts on that?
Well, I'm glad. I mean, you got a whole year to plan for it now. So that next year's a 12-game season. We already know all of our opponents and where we're going to play them at. So
I thought we still had an open game. I thought we still had a 12th game open.
not for next year. Our out of conference games are the MEAC SWAC Challenge against Norfolk and South Carolina State at home, and then we have the two Division I schools.
Okay. It's 2025 that we have
Yeah,
okay.
open. Yeah.
And with the changeover in the athletic administration at South Carolina State, is that contract, is that in pencil, or is it in pen? Has it been sealed in blood?
Well, because they announced it, I'm assuming is printed. I mean signed, but you
We
never
know that
know.
doesn't mean, we know that doesn't really mean anything, and just because they announced it, hell,
Yeah.
people announce stuff all the time, and then it goes away somehow. Yeah. So, but anyway, um, we'll keep an eye out. So, but yeah, no, I think it is a good thing. I've seen some initial comments by some folks kind of dumping on the idea as if Tallahassee, as if it was some big secret that, oh, they're gonna price gouge, and they're gonna look. They've been price gouging our ass and everybody's ass for a long time. So nothing new.
Yeah, yeah,
You guys act like that's new.
and at it just like anywhere else, when big events happen and you got limited inventory, it's supply and demand, and so. But what I will tell folks, is that what they've gotten smart because they do it every year. So the prices you're seeing now ain't necessary because we announced homecoming. I want to make sure I get this point across. The prices of what you see now is because what they do is they block off from like August to December early so that
Might as
the
well.
inventory is not already depleted before they set the price.
Yeah.
So yeah, if you see rooms out there, you're gonna see some ridiculous price because they already got it pre-programmed set up so that you can't nobody's willing if you willing to pay $500 $1,000
That's
a
on
night,
you.
then they'll take
That's
your
on you.
money, but that
Right.
ain't gonna be the price at the end of the day. They just they wait closer to the season start before they really open up the inventory. That's a method that they use in order to keep people from booking up the rooms early.
And if I was a hotel owner, I'd do the same thing. I would get smart about that too and just book every Saturday. I'd book up every weekend, like you said, during the football season, and then wait to see what the schedules are and what happens, and then figure it out what to open up and release and all that other stuff.
Yeah.
But that's so let's not put that all on the city. There are other methods. And I will say this, those of you who are looking for hotels for SWAC Championship weekend, there are other means, there are other ways. I've seen some great deals in other places, and I didn't have to go look out of state, which is a suggestion that somebody gave me, was that, hey, start looking in Georgia, up in Thomasville, which you could do that. But there are other, I've seen some things, some places in Tallahassee. I'm like, oh, I need to hold, if I had a, anyway, you guys hit that cash app, and then that way I can afford to come up to Tallahassee and spend a couple days in Tallahassee and don't have to drive back after the game. We can do some real post game stuff, some pre-game stuff. That's going to be interesting, Kelvin, to see what the media room looks like. I don't know where they're going to put all the media people. I
Well, for the championship game,
I have no idea where everyone's going to go.
That's a good question.
I
That is a good question.
I don't
Probably,
know.
if I had to guess I guess the TV camera take up one of those spots, but I know they probably gonna have to put some tables on the deck there on both sides.
You mean where the DJ is on one side and somebody
Yeah,
else? So you mean they might have to move the DJ somewhere else, huh? That'll be interesting.
May.
I that logistically is, I think that is a more for me. That is a more fascinating decision than to see where they put the bands in the crowd. Where are you going to put all these media people who are going to want to come to the SWAC Championship game and fit in a 20 by 20 room? Anyway, first world problems, right? So we'll we'll figure that one out later. All right, that's going to do it for tonight's Alabama A&M reaction show. Appreciate you guys coming in, chatting with us for a little bit of time. Don't forget Wednesday night show, 8 o'clock Eastern, 7 Central. Tell a friend in advance. You do us a solid if you share the show, however you're watching it, on YouTube, on Facebook. Go download the BCSN Pod Zone on the wherever you listen to podcasts, and that's where this show will be probably in about 24 hours, so you can always reshare it there. You can scan that QR code, or you can hit us up on the Cash App there. We appreciate your support of the O&G Strike Zone right here on the Black College Sports Network. Thank you to each and every one of you. Kelvin, well, we say hey to Marcus because I know Marcus is not here with us, but he's watching, I'm sure, and he'll be on with us Wednesday. Make sure you're following our girl Liv. Make sure you're following Liv for Hoops. Olivia Antilla. She's talking. I know she'll be talking. Probably a great tweet follow on X. I know she'll probably be tweeting during the game tomorrow. I know she'll be watching the women's game, but get 2 screens set up for tomorrow night so you can watch the men and the women play. Both of them will be on ESPN Plus, so it'll be a great opportunity to support both programs. Hopefully our teams made it to their locations safely, and just pray for a great start to the season. I feel really good about the basketball season, Kelvin. I probably a lot better than I felt this time last year. I don't know what that means.
I agree with you. I still got to see it,
Sure,
but last year, was such a challenging year that
yes.
as far as I'm concerned, we got no place to go but up.
Hey, and the best line that Liv said, hey, we only won 6 games last year, so hell, if we get to 8 this year, it's a positive. I said, oh God, 8, that's what we're shooting for. Jesus. But that's the truth. That's the truth. It was so bad. There's nowhere to go but up. Yeah. So, all right, that's going to do it for tonight. Thank you, everybody, for watching and coming in with us. For Kelvin Rozier, I'm Brian Fulford. Rattler Nation, have a great rest of your week. We'll see you on Wednesday night right here, 8 o'clock Eastern, 7 Central on the Black College Sports Network. Peace out.